hands together. Come on.
I need someone, somebody to help me come and turn my life around.
I feel like having some church up in here. Come on, chat.
I can't explain it. I can't obtain it. Jesus, your love is so, it's so amazing. It gets me high up to the sky.
Hallelujah.
And when I think about your goodness, it makes me wanna stomp.
You can't take my joy, devil. Makes me clap.
Makes me clap my hands.
Check.
Makes me wanna dance and stomp.
Oh, you better put them hands together and have a Holy Ghost party with me.
My brother, can't you see? I've got the victory. Stomp.
No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm more than a conqueror. Can I get a witness up in here? Woo!
Lately I've been going through something that's really got me down.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together.
I need someone, somebody to help me come and turn my life around.
Hallelujah. Come on and say with me, GP. I
I can't explain it.
can't obtain
I
it.
can't obtain it.
Jesus, your love.
Jesus, your love is so,
Hallelujah.
it's so amazing.
What does it do, y'all?
It gets me high
Where to, y'all?
to the sky.
Oh, when I think of His
I
goodness.
think about your goodness.
Come on and tell me what you want to do. Oh, yeah. Put them together. Shout.
Makes me clap my hands. Makes me wanna dance and stomp.
Put your hands together. Come on. Put your hands together.
My brother, can't you see? I've got the victory.
Now, young people, if you don't mind, I feel like having a little church in here. Because the devil is alive, because he's a Messiah, but to never live.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube, and you are listening to your host, Sky Walker Steele. Boom! Jerry, you would not take my joy from me. No, sir. Stomping you out. It is Friday. It may not feel good to you, but we're going to try to make it feel good as possible. We got Patrick No-C Walker coming up here in a few minutes to take us inside the locker room. And I've got a few things I'm watching for. Again, this isn't a normal what to watch for. We're looking at these things differently. So I got just a few things, y'all. Shouldn't be nothing crazy that I'm looking at in this game, Cowboys Nation. What's good with you, Bomb Squad?
Bomb Squad!
GP, are you with me? Oh, yeah. Look, man, I wasn't going to do Kirk all week until I saw the reception from it. And I was like, okay, y'all feeling that. So here we go. We got Kirk all week, man. I'll probably leave it at that. We had some fun with it. We'll get back to the regularly scheduled programming next week. But I enjoyed bringing in the show with some Kirk this week because we kind of needed that uplifting, didn't we? We still need that uplifting after what happened last week and what's continuing to happen and what's probably going to continue to happen. All right. But what's up with y'all, man? How y'all feeling on this Friday? Like I said, I know it's not a lot to be excited about with this Cowboy situation, but I'm gonna try to give y'all a quality show today. Like I said, we got Pat coming through. He's going to give us the injury report. It's still a lengthy one, but we got some good news. And there's some things I'm watching for, and I want to know what he's looking at when it comes to these guys returning. Toxic, already toxic. I can dig it. I'll get to you later a little bit, Toxic. But also we got our hot take coming up, plus our teaser for our underdog fantasy pick'em. So make sure y'all keep it locked for that. Let's get right into it. This week, though, I got to bring my mans in right. It's time for the scientific method. Good morning, good brother.
Oh, we are so bad.
Oh, man, it feels so good to hear that drop again.
We are so bad.
How we doing this good morning?
Hey, man, I'm up, birds singing, kids healthy. You know, the rest is the rest. How's it going over there, bro?
It's going. It's going. It's been a week, but but look, man,
we all have them, bro. We all have them.
Like you said, healthy, breathing, kids healthy. I can't complain too much. We gotta keep it pushing.
Facts. The rest is the rest.
But the Cowboys ain't healthy, big dog. That's one thing I know. That's one thing I do know for sure.
They're not. I kind of set you up for that one too. Good take.
Listen, fam,
now Dwayne to LeBron.
Yeah, I caught the alley. I caught the alley.
Yeah, Dwayne to LeBron. Yeah, they're wrecked. They're wrecked physically, man, and they have been for a few weeks. But every additional week they play football, they come up with another round of injuries that just continues to twist the knife. And obviously, they lose Marquise Bell this week, or I should say in the most recent game, with a shoulder injury that requires surgery to repair. So that's going to end his season, and that sucks on so many levels because this is a former undrafted guy who is in a contract year. He'll be restricted free agent next year. But the money aside, this is one of the guys who he's been a dog for you. Like, he's done everything that you've asked him to do ever since he stepped foot into this facility. And you're 3-6, and he's still out there giving it his all, laying it all on the line, putting it all on the field, and he pays for it, which, football is going to football. But bad things happen to good people sometimes, and this is one of those cases. So Marquise Bell, he's done for the season. And then you look at the injury report, and it's a mix of good and bad news, and depending on how you want to look at it. So, good news being Deron Bland has had his second full participation in practice. And I know people are asking me, well, no see, does that mean he'll be back this week? I still say put a pin in that simply because 4 or 5 weeks ago he had 2 full participations on a Wednesday and Thursday going into the Lions matchup, and then on Friday they shut him down, and he was shut down ever since. So let's see if he makes it through today, Friday, and then the walkthrough on Saturday. But he is trending toward making his 2024 return, or I should say debut, because he's not taking a snap in 24 quite yet. Trayvon Diggs, good news. He missed on Wednesday, but he was back at practice on Thursday. He's dealing with a groin and a knee issue, 2 separate things, not even attached to each other. It's just how the season's going. CeeDee Lamb, here's some more bad news. He was downgraded from limited on Wednesday to did not participate on Thursday. He's dealing with a back and a foot issue, and keep in mind it's not that shoulder is completely healed either. Quite yet. So wide receiver 1, he's banged up. There doesn't appear to be any concern, though, as far as him playing on Sunday. But even if he does take the field, which is expected that he will, he is far from 100%. And then back to a little bit of good news. Hunter Lipke, he's back on the limited capacity, so he was upgraded. And now we'll finish off with the bad news. See how this goes? This is how the season's been going. Neither Zach Martin nor Tyler Smith have practiced this week.
Ooh.
They are both dealing with multiple injuries. Tyler Smith has an ankle and a knee, and Zach Martin has his shoulder and both of his ankles that he's up against. I'm hard-pressed to see Zach Martin on the field on Sunday. If he does, it's because he's Zach Martin and he's trying to go out on his shield, which I can respect. But Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and then Tyler Guyton, he's not expected to miss because he's been a full participant both times this week, but he's banged up. So you have 3 starting offensive linemen who are banged up, 2 who are in question right now for Sunday, and you're going up against Dan Quinn and a defense that features Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, and guys who are going to be out for blood. Oh, by the way, that Payne guy, he's in there as well.
Brother, you could have just said going up against Dan Quinn. You don't think Dan Quinn heard the noise after that Green Bay game?
And Joe Witt.
And Joe Witt. I know Joe heard it.
Oh, yeah. And if you know anything about Joe,
right,
silent killer,
right,
he's not going to say much of anything, but clip is loaded. Loaded.
Well, let's.
Happy holidays.
It's a lot. As you were talking about all that, I was thinking in my head. I think the Cowboys have suffered some significant type of injury. Now, granted, CeeDee Lamb has played in all the games from every single top guy. You know, Dak, Lamb, Zach, Tyler, Trayvon, Duran. Like, you would argue those are kind of your and Zach Martin. Those are your core dudes. And I forgot about DeMarcus. Micah Parsons. Like, every core guy, Jake Ferguson, has suffered. Brandon Cooks have suffered some type of injury that have kept him out of games or, in Lamb's regard, practice. That's wild.
Yeah, that's the season. And what makes it worse, what compounds it, is I feel like the season, the omen for how this season would go was Sam Williams going down with that torn ACL. I think that in the moment we were looking at it as, oh man, this is tragic. But at least Cowboys have Marshawn Nealon. We didn't even mention Marshawn Nealon.
Another young buck.
But you figure, okay, well, you got Marshawn Nealon, you got Tank, you got Micah. They'll be all right. And then people just started dropping like flies. This is one of the most injury-ravaged seasons I've ever seen from the Cowboys. But it's not the reason. It's not the reason that they are 3-7 right now. It's one of the reasons. But they were playing bad football before they started getting ravaged by injuries. So it's a perfect storm of just unfortunate events, right? So if anyone has if you're in my generation and you know of the movie Lemony Snicket's and a series of unfortunate events, that's what 2024 is, a series of unfortunate events. Call it Lemony Snicket.
What a comparison. Quickly, just to go back on some of the good news, because I have a few things I'm watching for. One of them was the returns of the guys like Cooks, Nealon, Deron Bland. If you can kind of just give me your opinion on what you're looking for in regards to each one of those guys potentially returning this week.
Yeah, like I said, Bland, he is on the right trajectory. I just put my personal opinion is to put a pin in that for the same reason I did when Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones were bearish about what was going on with him going into the Detroit game. They basically jumped out. Right. Stephen jumped out and said, oh, yeah, he'll be back. But the whole time Mike McCarthy was slow playing it and saying, hey, man, we got to see him in practice. And I was saying that myself outside of McCarthy. I said, hey, the guy hasn't practiced since August, hasn't played a game since January. I don't see him getting 2 or 3 practices in and then playing. So now transfer that to this week. I still don't know that he goes. There's a solid chance, but then you also got to consider, same for Brandon Cooks, Marshawn Nealon, got to consider they have a game 4 days after this game that's coming up. So how does that factor into the decision-making process? Because ideally, you don't want to put them on the field on Sunday and then shut them down on Thursday. That means they've had a setback, right? So it'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys play it. But Ron Bland, he has a solid chance. Brandon Cooks has a good chance. Marshawn Nealon has a good chance. If one of those two guys, if both of those guys come over to the active roster, Cowboys got to make 2 seats. Marquise Bell is going to be 1 seat when they move him to IR. Question will be, if you move both Marshawn and Brandon over to the roster, what's the other seat? Who's the other seat? Who's the sacrificial lamb that gets that cut? So, yeah.
I tell you this, Pat. I'm very skeptical on Deron Bland returning. I don't know how I feel about that because foot injuries. We've seen. I think it was Cooper. He played with the foot thing for years here. Dez, I'd argue in 2015 when he tried to gut through that foot injury, that I think that affected him and maybe cost him a couple years. And he even comes out and talks about it. And so I just man, I don't want Bland to come back and re-aggravate that thing. And then he goes into a contract year. I think we talked about this last week. I would, me personally, would just sit him, let him heal because he's too important for possibly your future. If he comes out, damages that, and now you're going into the contract year next year, now you're up in the air on potentially re-signing him if he's not the same guy.
I couldn't have said it better, Stu. You said it exactly how I've been saying it. And I talked to Deron yesterday. He spoke with the media yesterday, and I've been talking to him at several points before, he stepped in front of the camera, just checking on his mental, checking on his physical. And as far as the mental aspect, every single time that I've spoken to him and kind of a sidebar in passing, he's been in great spirits, but he wants to play football. And I respect that. He's a competitor. He wants to play ball. Been there. I know, man. We for those of us that have played team sports and we are true competitors, yeah, man, you want to get out there. You don't care about the record. You don't care about none of that. You just want to play ball. I understand. But on the flip side of this, you're 3-7. You've already missed 10 games. You haven't played a game since early January. And what's the risk versus the reward, right? So if you play this season, assuming everything goes well for you and there's no setback physically, fantastic. But what did you gain? Because you're not in the playoffs. So what did you gain, right? And you're not a rookie. You're not a second-year guy, so it's not that you, quote-unquote, need the reps. See, this is where I differ on Marshawn Nealon. I would bring Marshawn Nealon back because he's a rookie. He needs the reps, right? So you get him those reps, and that should only make him better for year two. It's a different situation with DaRon Bland. I personally say, shut DaRon Bland down. Too valuable. You don't want any setback, like you said, that could also affect the start of his offseason program, potentially affect the start of his training camp going into that pivotal year next season. It's just too important when it comes to him. Marshawn, he needs the reps. Brandon Cooks, he's a free agent next year. So, yeah, bring him back and see what he can give you offensively and mix with, like, Mango. You got to see what you're getting with Mango. You give a fourth-round pick for him. Maybe, more targets to flow to Ryan Flanoy, kind of mix that up. But when it comes to DaRon, I'm personally, I understand that he's a competitor and he wants to play. But if I'm GMing this thing, I'm shutting him down. I'm
with you, man. We got Patrick No-C Walker of DallasCowboys.com with us. Pat, you often bring the human element to the viewers, the fans, and we really appreciate that. And you're in the locker room, and I've been curious over this losing streak. Like, what is the vibe like? I used to ask you that almost every week because, when it was winning seasons, it was a bit different. But the Cowboys are losing right now, and these are still grown men that got to do jobs and they have pride and that want to win. But it's bad, and I just sometimes wonder if that will affect that locker room in a negative way, where maybe players start wanting change somewhere, whether that be coaches or the backup quarterback situation, or other guys wanting to get in. And I wonder just how much that camaraderie and brotherhood is staying together. What's the locker room like right now?
Well, I will say there's been no fractures within the locker room. Okay. They're not eating each other alive. There's no, proverbial cannibalism going on inside the locker room. Everybody the solidarity is still there. No matter who you talk to on any level, it could be CeeDee Lamb all the way down to a Josh Butler and everyone in between. Everybody is in lockstep. Reverend Spanford and Luke Schoonmaker and Jake Ferguson and Brandon Cooks and Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks. I mean, Jalen Brooks was just made inactive, and he's still a part of that solidarity. I talked to him yesterday, and he's just like, hey, man, I just got to earn my way back onto the field. See, he's taking the accountability. Each one of these guys are taking personal accountability. They're not pointing fingers at the guy next to them in the locker room. They're not saying, in the inverse, they're not saying, well, I'm playing well. Why is this guy getting more reps? A guy like Hunter Lipke could probably make that argument. Deuce Vaughn could probably make that argument, but they're not. Instead, they're keeping their head down and grinding forward and trying to, make a name for themselves how they can. But there are no fractures whatsoever. I will say there is a collective shock that is in the air in the locker room. No different from you're cruising down the street. You expect to get from point A to point B with no issues. That's how they entered the season. Hey, we're going to get from point A to the playoffs, and we're going to worry about the playoffs when we get there. And then what happens? One tire blows out, two tires blow out. You lose control of the car. It flips over the median into oncoming traffic. All these bad things happen, and then you're just laying there upside down in the car, and you're literally in shock. Like, what happened? And you're trying to figure out what went wrong, not realizing that everything went wrong. Every possible thing went wrong. So, talk to Jordan Lewis a lot, talk to some of these other guys, Damone Clark and Tyler Guyton. And Guyton is a perfect example. Like, every time he tries to get back on the field to get some reps, something goes wrong, right, as far as physically, right? So availability becomes the issue. And now you look across the line, and there are issues with Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, and the list goes on and on. So solidarity has not been broken. Everyone's still behind Mike McCarthy. He has not lost the locker room. I know people are whispering about that. I'm telling you, I'm in the locker room every other day. They have not lost. Mike McCarthy has not lost the locker room, but the locker room is in a collective state of shock, not or still trying to figure out what the hell went wrong in 2024. But the answer is everything.
Not a whole lot to look forward to in these coming games, but just kind of what's your gut feeling this weekend, both offensively and defensively?
Well, for those who want an entertaining matchup, they are 3-1 on the road. They typically do well at, well, it's not FedEx Field anymore. What's the name of that trash stadium? They changed it to something starts with an N. Who cares? So they fare well in the nation's capital, typically. Brandon Cooks might be back to give you some kind of additional weapon for Cooper Rush. But even with Brandon Cooks, I mean, he's not on the offensive line. Your offensive line is going to go up against a defensive front that's one of the best in the league, and you're in shambles as far as health is concerned. You're not running the ball well. Cooper Rush is not throwing the ball well because the outfit doesn't fit him like it did in 2022. Flip to the defensive side of the ball. Maybe you could have some fun with the fact that Trayvon Diggs has perennially shut down Terry McLaurin, which is something that's difficult for most cornerbacks to do. So maybe Jerron Bland comes back and Jordan Lewis is expected to be back. So maybe for the first time ever as starters, you get to see your trio of cornerbacks. That would be exciting. What does that mean for against a Commanders offense that can run the ball real well? With Brian Robinson back, he's healthy. Austin Eckler is one of the leading receivers on the team, and he's a running back. So Cowboys got their hands full. Anything can happen, though. I mean, the Browns just beat the Steelers, and the Cowboys beat the Browns and the Steelers. So, I mean, who knows? This football, anything can happen. It might be a fun day in that capacity, but if you're looking for them to secure a higher draft pick, then that's not going to be fun for you. So it really just depends on what lens you're watching this game through. Yeah, it just really depends on your perspective. But I do expect them to be a little bit more competitive because it is on the road and something is just poison at home for some reason. I don't know what that is, what that toxin is. But I don't expect them to take this win, though. There's just too much working against them, in addition to the Dan Quinn variable and the Dorrance Armstrong variable, the Dante Fowler variable, so forth and so on. Just don't let it be the Noah Brown legacy game, please. That's all I'm asking.
Oh, my God. I forgot about Noah Brown, too. That's a good point. It's a whole lot over there, former Cowboys. But, again, like I said at the top of this whole thing, if you don't think Dan Quinn and Joe Witt don't want to lay it on you, well, he got another thing coming. So they better match that energy. Appreciate you, Pat.
Yes, sir. Talk to y'all soon.
That's our guy, Patrick No-C Walker. This week's version of the scientific method. It is a whole lot of I mean, like I already knew, right? There was a bunch of Cowboy players over there with Tyler Biadasz, Noah Brown, kind of slipped my mind, a lot of you. Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, obviously took some of the staff over there. I don't think Dan much cares about what was said about him afterwards. I don't think he cares about that. I think Joe does. Joe Witt's a motherfucker. He is. I usually on this show when people talk about the turnovers, they equate it to Dan Quinn. I personally think that or Al Harris. I think it's Joe Witt. I don't think it's a coincidence. Joe Witt's gone. The new secondary coach guy, Mike Zimmer, is here, and the Cowboys don't get interceptions. Al Harris is here. Al Harris was here in 20, and Al Harris is here in 24. The difference, those 2 years, 20 and 24, you weren't getting picks. In between, you were getting a ton of interceptions. Now, granted, injuries and things like that, are happening defensively. So, I'll concede that. But Joe Witt, everywhere he's been, has been a guy that has turned up the turnover volume. So, you don't think he wants to lay it on the Cowboys? If you even listen to Joe Witt when he was here, they asked Joe Witt about potentially being a head coach or a defensive coordinator, and he felt slighted a little bit. He's like, "No, I'll audition for this job." Like, he wanted to say what he wanted to say. You know why I auditioned for this job. And I didn't get it. But yeah, I want to be a defensive coordinator. Had the past relationship in Atlanta for a little bit with Dan Quinn. Brought it over here. Those guys got closer. And Dan said, you know what? I'm just want to be focused on being the head coach this go around. And brought Joe Witt over to Washington. And now that defense is flying around. Didn't start out great, but they are flying around. Frankie Louvu. They went out and got a bunch of guys. We featured Louvu here, right? He was a guy we were looking into. Dante Fowler is probably going to have a 12 sack type of season. He's trending towards there already. Bobby Wagner. They went out and got Jeremy Chin at safety. They went out and spent some bread defensively to help out. And then obviously drafting guys. They got the kid Newton from was it Illinois? Where Newton came from. So they're starting to put it together a little bit and get after the passer, get after everything defensively. They're much more aggressive than they were earlier in the year. And I don't expect them to turn the heat down against a Cooper Rush, against an offense who just doesn't have enough weapons to really threaten you. I don't think Joe Witt's going to show any respect to anybody outside of CeeDee Lamb, and they're going to turn up the heat. I think it's going to be tough. Very, very tough for this offense to get moving on the road too. And one thing I noticed in that awful stadium is that the energy seemed from a distance. I don't know if Foots is in here and if Foots has been there, but because he's in the DMV area, the energy feels different, man. I've been to give or take 6 or 7 away games if you're a Cowboy fan, home games if you're a Washington fan. I've been to that stadium 6 or 7 times. I'm from up in the PA area, so I used to travel there almost yearly. And it never had that type of buzz because the Cowboys always ran that stadium. I've been there 6 or 7 times, and I've seen like 1 loss. That's it. Cowboys always run it up there. And now when I watch that team in that stadium, there's a different energy. And I honestly don't know if the Cowboys are going to be able to match it, man. I don't. Will said Joe Witt didn't interview because they were talking 1-year deal. What you talking about? I'm talking about when he actually did interview Willie T. Joe Witt interviewed for the defensive coordinator job, and we know why he didn't get that job. They really weren't looking for that type of guy at that time. Never been a defensive coordinator. They wanted a proven guy, so they went out and got Dan Quinn. But when you listen to the interview, when they asked him about it, you can sense the kind of frustration, even though he was with the team, even though he was, having success as a secondaries coach. He was like, I interviewed for this job. He did one of those. I interviewed for this job. Oh, well, now he's a defensive coordinator, and he's doing a fine job over there, man. Let's flip to the other side of the ball in my what to watch for us. Is this another audition? Is this a Cliff Kingsbury audition? Jerry Jones went on the radio the other day. He spoke highly of Cliff. No, I didn't say Joe Witt interviewed after Dan Quinn. I know what you're talking about, Willie T. I said Joe Witt interviewed for the defensive coordinator job. And they gave it to Dan Quinn. Jerry Jones spoke highly of Cliff Kingsbury leading up to this game. He said, quote, I think a lot of Cliff. He's a friend. Kingsbury worked with young quarterbacks, how innovative he is as a play caller. He said, if you don't play him regularly, he's a tough draw because he's going to come out there with some stuff that's a little unconventional. An 82-year-old man watching modern football with an 82-year-old mindset calling Cliff's offense unconventional. A wise man once said, you know what? I'll let that wise man say it.
Theatricality and deception. Powerful agents to the uninitiated.
Theatricality and deception is a powerful agent to the uninitiated. The only reason why you think this is unconventional is because you are of the uninitiated. You don't do these things. And it was somebody in the comments who had brought this up, and I've seen other people bring this up before, but I'll bring it to the forefront again. You could argue one of the main reasons why the Cowboys struggle with these specific type of offenses for a long time is because they don't see it daily like other teams. Now, other teams have issues with it from time to time too, but they quite literally don't deal with this type of innovation or deception or misdirection, etc. They are uninitiated. Cliff's offense isn't some special offense that we haven't seen before. No, Jerry, no. It's very much conventional in the year 2024. So I don't know what you're talking about. But Cliff Kingsbury is a Texas boy. And when you hear Jerry say things like, he's a friend, you got to wonder if he's going to be on Jerry's radar. You just have to. So it kind of leads me. I'm not going to call it a hot take. It's a hot question. Let's do that. My Dave's hot question of the week. I want to throw a little curveball at y'all, and I want to know how you feel about this. Would you be okay with hiring Cliff Kingsbury as head coach if he comes with Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator? I had to throw in Saleh because I feel like if I didn't throw in a little flavor, y'all would have been like, no, on Cliff Kingsbury for sure. Which, listen, I totally get it. But Robert Saleh is a respected defensive coordinator, really good defensive coordinator. And if you had the option of, say, one of the Vrabels or the Belichicks of the world and his guys, or Kingsbury and Saleh, would you be okay with that? I'm curious. Curious where you're at, Cowboys Nation. So it's not a hot take. It's my Dave's hot question of the week. Kingsbury head coach and Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator. I've seen a lot of Ben Johnson, and I still just believe that it's never going to happen. So I'm like, well, what offensive guy that's out there could I replace with Ben Johnson to kind of get you guys thinking? A lot of nods, a lot of no's. I think the no's are weighing heavily on the yeses. Still them boys, absolutely. Only a few yeses. Boo Poo says yes. Mike says yes. Hallelujah says yes. But there's a lot of no's. A lot of no's. Willie T, nope. Yeah, I forgot the Kane music. Nelson says, oh, is that a no? Hip hop says nah. He was not good in Arizona, no. Tricks, no. Cliff and Saleh, yep, says Chris. I expected more no's for sure, but see a little more yeses than I thought. Ben's not happening. I don't believe Ben is happening either. But Cliff Kingsbury, I think, is more realistic than a Ben Johnson. I think Cliff Kingsbury is more realistic than Ben. Not that I'm for. Again, he's not on my radar, but we're thinking about put the Cowboys hat on. Matt said yes. Okay, absolutely. If you're thinking Kingsbury, you will be better with Lincoln Riley and Saleh. That's cool. But I don't know how many people are really thinking Kingsbury. Only reason why this is being brought up is because your boy Jerry Jones said, I think highly of Cliff Kingsbury. He's a friend. I love his innovative play calling, and he's a tough draw because he's a little unconventional. That's a lot of praise. Nah, AGI, I won't be no damn head coach. Like I said, if we ever do like a content creator, coach, staff, whatever thing, put me in the front office. I don't want nothing to do with coaching these guys. Put me in the front office. Professor O says, you agree? I don't think Ben is realistic at all. I don't think so. Cliff and Saleh over McCarthy and Zim. Now, Special K, that is a conversation. Because see, we're comparing Cliff and Robert Saleh to the rest of the field. But if we're comparing it to McCarthy and Zimmer, and I'm not even that big of a fan of Cliff Kingsbury, but the combination of Cliff and Robert Saleh compared to this, Big Max, no, stop putting me in the coaching ranks. I want nothing to do with coaching. It's going to be Belichick and McDaniels. That's who coaches at 3-4. Would have to see who's out there. It's not many conventional 3-4s anymore, though. You know, I'd have to go look that up. Like conventional. I know the Steelers have conventionally been a 3-4 team. Baltimore used to be, but they kind of dance around. Most teams are multi-scheme now because of how spread out offenses are. A lot of nickel, so it's hard to just come out with 4 dudes that are 260 plus pounds in today's game, you know, or 250 or whatever, right? Like you gotta get smaller and faster. That's a good question. You damn Skippy, DL. Put me in the GM. Will got you covered. Dre says, I'm willing to bet Belichick in Jacksonville. Yeah, that was who went to Jacksonville? Former coach, Super Bowl winner in New York. Brain fart. He went to Jacksonville to be in the front office. I could see Belichick doing something similar unless he wants to coach again. You know? Yeah, JL, that's what I figured. You said 3-4 is pretty much non-existent at this point. I think the conventional 3-4, it definitely feels non-existent. You see a lot more. Hell, Dan Quinn did some 3-4 things, but it wasn't conventional 3-4, right? With Micah and guys standing up and moving around. It's way more multifaceted than traditional 3-4. But I would like to see a scheme where it's Micah standing up from a linebacker position in like a 3-4 situation. But I would love to go kind of look around and see who's running a legitimate 3-4 anymore. Coughlin, thank you. Yeah, Tom Coughlin. Appreciate y'all. Let me get to my last one. And we'll wrap to you guys. Oh, I forgot to put the number up here if y'all wanted to talk. 351-999-3787. Not a whole lot to look forward to, like I said, in this game with the watch for, but I am looking to see if there's going to be a tight end encore. Last week, Jake Ferguson went down, and I felt like the tight end stepped up. Brevin Spanford had his best game of the season. He showed off some of that yak ability. And outside of the receiving, right, because I actually thought Brevin Spanford had real high upside as a receiver. And I thought you saw some of that yak stuff, the stiff arming, the getting a couple extra yards. I really think his ceiling is high from a yak standpoint, whether it's here or not, right? I feel like somewhere he can be a viable tight end 2 for somebody at the very least. But I wanted to look at him as a blocker because he's been very hit or miss this year. And you can tell he's trying to figure that out. But I thought he had a plus day as a blocker. I thought there were a few reps he wanted back, but I don't think he was a problem when they decided to try to run the ball. I thought he did a nice job on a kick out block. They run that kind of fake left play where you flip around, get to the outside. I thought when he was in space, he did well. And he had a kick out block with Lamb's reverse. So now you want to see him take on the DEs a little bit better. But if he can stack on top of that, remember how we had Schoolmaker and Spanford? Those are the 2 guys you want to see competing for tight end 2 for next year. If he can stack to that, his arrow is pointing way up. Now, Schoolmaker, I'll tell you something about Schoolmaker. I'm not a fan of his game, but that mother is a tough son of a bee. He got rocked a few times in that game, a few, and just got right back up. Where he's probably not going to be this high point jump catch ball, he had probably his best game, even I call it from the film I saw in college, where he caught contested catches and getting hit. There were at least 4 of those in this game. So you got to give tip your hat to him for that. And I thought his best reception came on an in breaking route. That was like a 13-yarder earlier in the game. It was one of his smoother routes. I'm not really a fan of his route running per se, but that was one of his best routes I've seen him run all year. And probably because he actually ran down the field, a whole bunch of 5-yard outs and run 3 yards and turn around types. But that was a nice route. And it was also kind of a contested catch, or he took a hit, I'll say that. But where you want to see him get better is that seam route just doesn't agree with him, man. Now, he did have a nice catch last year on a jump ball on the seam route, but that seam route just doesn't seem to agree with him. Now, the seam route play I'm talking about was the near interception, which should have been probably a pick six. But he gets upfield, he kind of gets skinny to get between two defenders, and where he should have probably nodded at the top of the route to move the safety to the outside, he doesn't. He just kind of telegraphs at that stem, and 21, I think was the number, just jumps the route and pick six. Should have been a pick six, but it wasn't. That's where you miss Jake Ferguson. That's where you miss a guy who knows how to run that seam and sell it. That's why you never really saw guys just jumping, because Jake either knew how to sell it at the top or he knew when to flip his hips. His head. But that route right there was one where he'll go back and he'll watch on film and say, okay, I got to be a little bit better there. But from the contested catch standpoint, I felt he did a really good job in that. But I'm really interested to see if these guys can stack this week against the Washington football people. I feel like Dan is going to give you the tight end, right? So, if you can't get Terp on a 67-yarder, if you can't get Lamb to get you an explosive play, then maybe you got to play the tight end game. You got to play the kill him with the 1,000 cuts game with Spanford and Luke Schoonmaker. Keep ratcheting up that competition. This guy praising Schoon is a rough year. Yeah, I mean, I got to be fair. I mean, if he did some good things, we gotta talk about what he did that was good, yeah. Schoon got hit with a clothesline from Schoon got rocked a couple times, man. The one play where they called the flag, that wasn't a flag. That was football, man. That was a good football hit. Big Mex. Big Mex said, I got to call in. I got something to say. What's up with you? Big Mex, you might have me on mute, brother. I think Big Mex got me on mute. We'll try to come back to Big Mex, but we'll wrap to y'all in the chat a little bit. Cam Chillin said, love Ferguson. Is he all right? Ferg is going to be out. Ferg is dealing with a concussion, but I think he'll be fine, moving forward. But he got concussed. Does Turpin run a slant route again? Let's hope. We've been asking to get Kevontae Turpin on the move all year. And on the move isn't, oh, hey, Turp, go on the boundary and throw a jump ball to Munchkin Land. Like, no, that's not on the move. We want Turpin jet sweep. We want Turpin, quick slant, deep over, post, skinny post. When he catches it, he should be moving, not run down the field, turn around. You know what I'm saying? Not boundary jump ball. You would hope. Let's try this again, Big Mex.
Yo, I'm back.
There
what
we
up?
go.
Hello?
What's up with you?
Man, I don't know. I was talking. Somebody said I ran out of minutes. Yeah, I was on my daytime minutes, and it ain't after 9. That's how you know I'm old.
That's the old school right there.
Man, Skywalker Steel, let me ask you something. If your last name is Jones and you can't get fired, that's my botch impression for the chat. No, man. So let's just say we fired Mike McCarthy, right? I know that Jerry is geriatric, and he keeps saying that we're not going to fire Mike during the season. Who takes this thing over? Who do you want to see get that last half a season tryout on this coaching staff? I like Al Harris. That's just me. I think guy got a little juice. Yeah,
Al, I think is the most conventional pick. I feel like we're getting a little bit too late into the stage to see what I wanted to see, especially with the quarterback situation, and it's it's probably not worth it anymore. I personally wanted to see Schottenheimer be the interim guy because he's got some energy to him, and I wanted to see Scott Tolzien call the plays. But I don't think it matters anymore because I wanted to see that with Dak. I didn't want to see that with Cooper Rush or Trey Lance. I could care less. So I would probably go Al Harris. But the only way I think you can go Al Harris is if it's Zimmer's not here, right? So if they were to do that, which I don't think they will, doesn't it feel like Zimmer would be the like? It's weird to me because it feels like Zimmer would be the guy because he was a head coach. But
he's been the guy. Yeah.
Al Harris is technically the assistant head coach.
Yeah, I think Zim old, man. I think Zim's old. I wanted Zim to work this year, and now he got thrown in kind of last minute. He didn't get the guys that he wanted, I'm sure, until we was already, at the start of the season.
Zim?
And I just think Zim's part of the old man problem. I think we got too many old men around. We need some guys, some younger dudes.
Somebody asked this question.
Seeing the game with different eyes.
Professor O, was it you who asked this question on Twitter? Like, it was like, does the Cowboys have the oldest staff in the league, like assistants, like head coach, offense coordinator, head coach, defense coordinator, offense coordinator, special teams coach? And I was like, that's a good question.
Somebody, King Pablo asked if we're overrating Al Harris. I don't know if we're overrating him or not. That's kind of the point of the question. I'd like to see what he's got in him. I mean, this season's done. This ain't nothing but seeing what we got at this point.
Right.
I say get Cooper Rush out of there. I don't believe in Trey Lance. I'm done on the Trey Lance experiment. That's my own personal opinion. But I would at least like to throw him out there. You know what you got with Cooper Rush. He's not going to do nothing for you.
I think it'd be
what you
more.
Got with Trey, or move the hell on.
I think it'd be more entertaining with Trey Lance out there.
And yeah, probably. Because I mean, at least we would get more than 20 yards of rushing if we had Trey Lance out there. Because, and I don't know. I just think now's the time to try everything on the team because nothing's working anyway. Nothing at all. So try whatever because the season's done anyway. And Tankathon. It's Tankathon anyway.
Oh, brother, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, you don't have to tank. They will organically
We're not
lose.
capable of the win.
I mean, the only win you can potentially look at again is Panthers and the Giants. And look, it's not far fetched. They go 1-1 in that situation. So how? Last question. I'm gonna get out your hair. How long do we do the Tyler Guyton thing? Because I know Vach wasn't really happy when we drafted him. I remember that vividly. He's still showing why Vach was upset. In my opinion, I feel like the kid kind of gets beat up and then he shuts down completely. Really?
Yeah, I'm not liking Guyton at all. I'm not seeing what I need to see as far as left tackle. I mean, wasn't he a right tackle in college? I'm not quite sure.
He only played 13 games, I think, over there. He's very raw. Yeah. But no, I'm going to go back to you said he gets beat up and gets shut down. That's what makes you think that?
I remember that one game where they pulled him out and they were like, it's an injury, and then people were kind of speculating, like, was that really an injury, or did he just get beat so bad they had to pull him for it?
Who was speculating that? I mean, I didn't read any of that. I didn't know there was people thinking he was faking an injury.
Yeah, it was some internet. It was internet stuff. It wasn't. I don't even know if it was fake injury. He got hurt. It was probably the first 3 to 4 games, because honestly, I've been tuned out after about that. I saw enough to know we were done. I had a whole rant on the show about it. I knew the season was done very early. I don't like the Guyton kid.
I would say this.
I remember he left out early on the game, towards the last quarter, and I guess he had gotten banged up or hurt or something, but I remember some people saying, was he really hurt? I don't think it was you, but I'm just saying I remember seeing somewhere, was he really hurt?
So you're going off of some internet nobody saying you think he's faking an injury? Wasn't there an actual NFL player who thought Dak Prescott was faking an injury?
No,
let me. The only reason why I'm saying this, Big Max, is because look, it's one thing if you don't think the player is good, if you don't think he's where you want him to be, if we're just completely leaving out context with a player, like, listen, man, I thought the Guyton pick was a future pick anyway. If we're being completely real, but to insinuate the guy just laid down and faking an injury, to me is very damning, man. And And unless you got like actual proof to say that about a
I don't
guy,
have proof.
it's kind of
I don't have
wild
proof.
to me. You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
have proof of that.
I don't know that that's the case, man. I think this kid is a competitive kid that welcomes competition, and he, if he's healthy to play, he's going to play. If he's not healthy to play, he's not going to. I don't see a quit in this kid.
I definitely think he should be playing all year, but the question really is how long do you live with this caliber of play is not a left tackle caliber. We're not going to be able to start at left tackle.
What do you mean, how
2 more
long,
years.
brother? It's been 10 games.
No, right.
It's been 10
That's the
games.
question I'm
How
asking.
on one
is how
hand,
long?
I hear you. How on one
Right, the
hand, Big
question
Mex,
is
are you
how
going to?
long? Like 2
How
years?
on one hand are you going to, Big Mex? Are you going to say, we know what this season is about evaluation, but the one guy that you need to evaluate, you like, man, how long we going to keep doing this? Well, you keep him out there so you can evaluate it. He can get the reps, brother.
He got to be out there to get evaluated.
Yeah.
My question is this: is this guy the next? I don't know. What's his ceiling for us? Does this guy turn into Terrence Steele? I mean, that's kind of passable.
No,
that's
he's more
worth holding on
talented.
to.
He's more
Do you
talented than
think he's going
Terrence
to be
Steele.
better than Terrence Steele? You think
Yes,
so?
I think he'll be better than Terrence Steele. He's not.
I need to see it. I hope you're right.
Boy, I wish I had. I really wish
don't
I had this show around when Tyler Smith was right tackle. Oh, I would have loved to know how y'all felt about Tyler Smith at right tackle. Not saying he's Tyler Smith, but my goodness, my guy, you're. I get it. A lot of y'all don't like the kid, but you're just like completely ignoring the fact that he's a raw left tackle with some talent that needs to play. He's going to go through this. You know what I'm saying? This is going to happen. And I don't know how much film you watch, but there is positive film on the kid. Like he even in that Texans game, like I said, the first half of that game, like, and even a little bit in the second half for him at least, it wasn't like they were just getting whooped. The problem is when he gets beat bad. And I'm just not ready to throw the book at him from 10 games. Like I just cannot do that. That's wild to me.
Right. No, I'm not saying give up. I'm asking how long? 2 years? 3 years? When do we start?
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, you got it next year. Let's revisit it when we watch him next year, and then we'll see, brother. He's a rookie. He's a young kid, man. Like,
yeah, he is.
You know what I'm saying? He's a young kid. I mean, if we get to year 3 and he's bad, then obviously you look to move on. But it's just way too early to be sitting here thinking after 10 games, man, how long until we move on from Tyler Guyton? Like, that's crazy.
We made the wrong pick, especially at first. I'm concerned we made the wrong pick for a first round lineman. I think this guy might have been the wrong guy.
That's okay.
Respectfully.
I mean, I don't even know if you're wrong yet about that, but sure.
I can't play the position, and I ain't a coach. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. I don't see the dog there. I don't know that this guy is going to grow into what we want him to be, but I'd be happy if maybe we decide, you know what, this kid's not a left tackle, but maybe he's a right tackle. Maybe we try him there. I'd be happy.
Okay,
I don't
maybe
know
that's the
how
case.
much he can give us that left tackle. I don't know. I don't know if he can give us the left tackle thing, but maybe he can cover the right. But how long does he give us this year? Let's just say that.
You asking the wrong question about how long. You need to be saying, how long do we give Terrence Steele? That's the question.
No, he's done. The only year we got good from Terrence Steele, in my opinion, was the year that we gave him the contract.
Sure.
He was great, and then he never did nothing after that.
Here, let me answer your question for you.
I'm on that guy.
You, as long as your option, like, you have to know your options. What are your options? If your options are a proven left tackle, then maybe you can consider looking to move him immediately. If your options are a rookie 6th round pick, 5th round pick, nah, I'm not going to do that. So maybe you gotta give me options.
I'd like a guy with a little seasoning on him, a guy that's kind of did it before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and proven that he can start in this league at least. You know,
I'd entertain
I don't know that we try. Huh? No, I'm saying that's what I would prefer.
I would entertain that, is what I'm saying. Like if we get a legitimate left tackle guy, if we get a legitimate left, yeah, you go ahead.
And then move this kid over to the right side.
Yep. I would entertain that.
Yeah, we're on the same thing. All right, man. I done took up plenty of your time, man. Salute to you, man. Salute to the chat. Been getting my ass kicked at work, and that's the only reason I ain't been here live, man. I missed this show. Miss being in the chat talking big shit. Y'all be easy, man.
Salute. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
That's a very good point too, the Guru. I should ask him about that. Like, how you feel about Tyler Smith? But nah, I think you did see some moments of dominance, but and then we were a winning team as well, you know. But yeah, man. Look, again, question the kid's play, his talent. That's all fine, but he did a good job, Mex, of changing the whole thing, because that wasn't what you was talking about at first. You was talking about questioning his want to and faking an injury. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if y'all come on here with that, man, you better bring evidence. Don't tell me you saw something on the internet. You know what I mean? That's something crazy to say, that if you don't have any proof that this man is faking an injury, we shouldn't be bringing that up. I don't know why a rookie who's dealt with injuries and played through injuries before would be faking it. I don't understand that. You said you don't see dog in them. That's whatever. I told y'all there's certain players that have dog, if you want to call it that. Other players just do your job. And I've seen some improvement from the kid, enough for me to completely ignore the things he still has to work on. No, not at all. But see, the reason why I'm cool, calm, and collected about this kid, because nothing that's happening this year is surprising to me. Nothing. This is about as I expected. I didn't expect this kid. If you came in here with these expectations, you probably sound like Big Mex. I'm over this dude. What a terrible pick. We should have never picked him. It was wrong. Move him. Me, I'm like, hey, look, man. He gonna go through some rough patch. Did you see this lineup? This gang of dudes? Oh, yeah, he finna go through it a little bit. This is a 2025 pick. This is a Project 2025 pick. It didn't bother me. It does not bother me, especially given the fact you got a shit scheme, you got a terrible offensive line coach, and he's playing a position that he has not played before. This doesn't bother me at all, because I've seen good things, and I've obviously seen the things I expected him to struggle with. So maybe that's why I'm just like, I'm not tripping about it. Now, once you get into the offseason, like I said, if you want to entertain moving him, I would rather do so with a proven left tackle. I'm not. We had this conversation with me and Vach yesterday. I'm not trying to add another 22-year-old to the offensive line. You know, I went and looked at the Lions. The Lions get a lot of credit for building their O-line, right? Draft and draft and draft. Watch this. Watch this. Because I think what people fail to realize, people assume this Lions offensive line is like just littered with a bunch of bucks. Their left tackle, Taylor Deckard, 30 years old. Graham Glasgow, left guard, 32 years old. Drafted in 2017, I think, by the 2016 by the Lions. Left the Lions to go play a couple years in Denver, then came back to the Lions. Okay, so technically draft, come back as a free agent. Frank Ragnow, 28 years old, drafted in 2018. Kevin Zeitler, about 34 years old. He's a good player, though. I think he was drafted by the Bengals. He's been a good player for a long time. He's 34, 35 years old. And then Penei Sewell, the only dude who's under 25. People think because of Sewell that, the Cowboys got, or the Lions got a bunch of dudes who's 24, 25 years old in that line. No, they don't. They technically signed 2 free agents to complement guys they drafted 8 years ago and 4 years ago. We can't hang on what the Lions did unless you're willing to go through the mud with a Tyler Guyton for 8 years, or a Cooper Beebe for 8. You have to surround them guys with a Kevin Zeitler, with a Graham Glasgow, with, obviously the backfield they have, and with the scheme. The only team that you can argue like draft and coach these dudes up to being ballers, Pro Bowlers, whatever, is the Eagles. almost every other offensive line that you respect has made some type of commitment in free agency at one point or the other. One point or the other. And that, again, goes back to the conversation I had yesterday. The Cowboys have to stop. And this you can argue, you can use this for all of what the Cowboys do, but they have to stop relying on just drafting offensive linemen and saying we're good to go. Because then your line is going to be filled with either three very young players that, and I love, as much as I love Tyler Smith, he's still young and figuring things out as well. And then when some of the veterans do go, the JPs, the Tyron Smiths, eventually Zach Martin, if you think you're just going to keep replacing them with third and fourth and fifth and sixth, 7th round picks you can't even really develop, you're going to run into a problem, man. You better get you a Kevin Zeitler. You better get you a Graham Glasgow. You know what I'm saying? You better get you a Joe Tooney, an Orlando Brown. So when people look at the Lions and be like, oh, the Lions, man, they draft all these offense. The Lions have taken one starting offensive lineman in the first round since 2018. One. Hold on. Was it? I don't even know if Graham was. Yeah, Graham was. Okay. So one. Now you might say, well, Scott, they got 3 first rounders up there. Yeah. One's 30, the other's 28. They've been around for 8-9 years. I digress. Jimmy Fly Hookem, what's up?
Man, what's good, Scott?
Not much, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm good, man. You know, their previous caller, man, I felt like was just probably frustrated like all of us are, man, to be honest with you, because the real question is, it ain't even a question, we already know. Ain't shit finna happen, man. I mean, come on, dog. We see what Jerry doing, what they've been doing and all that. I mean, like you said, you already knew what to expect. At least I knew what to expect. I haven't been surprised by what I've seen. And then you add to the point of that gets injured. It's like,
I'll say this. Jimmy, I am surprised at the injuries. That's a lot of injuries, bro. I did not expect that.
Oh yeah. I don't think none of us really did. We thought we had a fighting chance, assuming everybody stayed healthy. We thought that we would at least get to the playoffs.
100%.
We all kind of felt that.
But to keep it a being with you, if they didn't suffer all these injuries, I still think it would have been an ugly 9-8, 10-7 season. I don't think it would have been like this.
I agree, and that's only because we've continued to go the cheap route. Yeah. You know, y'all talked about our head coaching and then the overall coaching staff and the age of them earlier. I mean, if you look around, man, yeah, we're not only just old in age, we're old in mentality. You know what I mean? Like we're lacking in some intangible areas, not just the tangible areas, man. When you kind of just look at it from a high view, and I think I've been talking about the lines and whatnot, and really what you see out of the lines right now is a certain mentality, man. Hey, man, we're going to come up here Sunday and whoop y'all ass. Y'all going to fight back or no? Y'all not? Cool. We're going to run it up the scope. I mean, it's really a certain mindset that we're lacking that, you just ain't really getting right now. I think the only reason I dropped in the chat that, I take Kingsbury and whatever his name is and the other dude simply because of youth at this point. We need somebody that's going to be able to relate to these guys, be energetic, and more importantly, just motivated. We ain't got nobody that's really just motivating nobody around here. I mean, the players we got, CD Lamb, them, you see how they acting and responding. Michael Parsons, you see how they acting and responding. It's just like there is no real, and I hate to sound traditional, but there's just no old school mental toughness going on. And we lack that so much. That's what I do like about the head coach over there at the Lions, man. He just gives them a certain mindset of, hey, we ain't finna go out here and pussyfoot around. We're going to get to it. And that's what we missing. Well,
I tell you this, too, and this head coach in Detroit said this. He's like, the most important thing a head coach can do is or what he does is who he hires as his staff. Dan Campbell is not oblivious to the fact that he's not a successful head coach without the staff that he put together. And I know we're going to look at Ben Johnson and of course, right, Ben Johnson deserves that credit, what he's done with that offense, turning it around. Aaron Glenn, you know, a couple years ago when the Cowboys were going to play the Lions, or the Lions were coming to play Dallas, I did some study on the Lions, and they had kind of a come to Jesus moment where all their guys came together on that defensive side of the ball with Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn, who was a little bit on the hot seat because they were kind of like the Cowboys. They were trending towards being one of the worst defenses in the history of the league. And then he flipped that script so damn fast. And it started with the Cowboys. And next thing you know, now the Lions defense, they might not be a dominant defense, but they are a scrappy, fighting, talented defense. And Aaron Glenn knows how to use his guys. So, and then the linebacker coach, I forget his name, but he's a damn good linebackers coach. The offensive line coach, Frank Haley, is one of the best in the business. Like, his staff selection has been extremely important. So, Dan acknowledges that, and then Dan compliments it, right? Like you said, the old school mentality, he lets his guys do his things, and he's a motivator. If you're going to be a walk-around head coach, like Jerry talks about, you have to be able to motivate your guys and motivate your coaches.
Deion Sanders. Same example.
Deion ain't going nowhere.
You got to be able to. I'm not saying no. That ain't what I mean about it. Yeah. I'm just saying you have to be one of those type of guys that you let your coaches coach, but y'all all share a certain theme, or like I said again, mindset. And you just get to Sunday or the day before, and you drive that point home with a motivational speech. You know, you just put it all together and put the icing on the cake for them, man. Like you mentioned something earlier too that we don't have, and that's that interplay of leadership. I mean, like, man, I feel like, to me personally, you see it a lot in high school sometimes, but once you get to a college level and the pro level, man, we all grown men. Yeah. We got to start looking at each other and hold each other accountable, man. I got to be like, hey, man, hey, Sky, hey, man, you ain't pulling your weight, bro. You know, we over here working hard with these 10. We need 11. You know, don't jump in. You know,
and there's a way you have to be able to do it, especially in today's game. It ain't, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, if you find a guy that knows how to do that, you don't let that person go. And I think, you know, Dan just fits the Detroit. Now, we'll see what happens when he loses those guys, but he fits Detroit.
Right. Well, I ain't gonna hold you up too much longer, man, but just kind of with that mindset, man, if you talk about Detroit, I know we've kind of stayed on them too long, to be honest with you, because we ain't Detroit fans, just to be clear. But I respect what they're doing. They're layering
facts.
Same thing on top of each other. You got players with a like-minded mindset, along with the coaches, along with the head coach. And so when you get all that gelling together and everybody on the same page, that's honestly why you see them dominating teams the way you do. It's a real chemistry. It's a real family going on over there, and they gelling in it. Now, as far as we go, it's time for us to get a whole new movement in, you know, from top to bottom. We know it ain't probably going to happen. You know, we're just being realistic. But what we need is just a whole new washover, man. We need to get some new blood in here, a new mentality in here, and right the ship. But the thing is, you know, not we as fans got to get out our own way. The leadership, as far as Jerry Jones and his people, need to get out their own way. You know, that stubbornness, man, has been killing them for a lot of years now, and it's going down there probably. I mean, that's it. I ain't gonna say that, but he needs to just get out his own way. Because I don't want to wish no bad on nobody. But for if you want to see something different before he get up out of here, he need to do something different, like step to the side and pull some people with him to step to the side, because you're gonna have to get a whole new regime in here.
You know, and I said this the other day, bro. Like, usually when you're expecting a coaching change, and once they click a couple buttons and a bunch of cap money, most fan bases are excited, right? Like especially when you get a top pick, the Washington football fans, right? You look at that, because we're playing the Washington football fans. You look at going into the offseason last year, a bunch of money, top pick, getting a new coach, got a new owner. There was a lot to be excited about, because they went out and spent that money, got a coach who motivates, and he's a player coach, right? And then he hired, again, what did Dan Campbell say? The most important thing is your staff. He hired guys that he can empower and let them do their thing, while he was a motivational type of coach, leader of men type of coach. Oh, and they have a general manager who allows them to who does things to help those guys, right? But this year, bro, I can't be excited. It's hard for me to be.
Not at
I ain't
all.
gonna lie to you. I had some excitement when Jerry.
I don't even have excitement for next year.
No. Well, I mean this year. I mean this go round, right? In 2019, they fired Jason Garrett. They didn't re-up his contract. I had some excitement about what could be, right? Because it was 4 less years of this nonsense. And then they get McCarthy, and I'm like, oh, okay, not really exciting or whatever. Right. But, you know, McCarthy, you know, does what he does, tries to build a program here. You get your 12 wins or whatever, but obviously no success. Now we get to the point where McCarthy's on his way out, but seeing how they have operated under McCarthy, like, which didn't much change under Jason Garrett, how excited are you that they're going to go and hire one of these type guys, and then they're going to spend the money, and then they're going to empower these guys? Like, how can you be excited for this? I'm just not, bro. I'm scared to death, fam. I'm scared to death. I am worried. Straight up. Man. I'm like, cause what if they get another yes man? Hell, what if they bring in like a Bill Belichick, who I just don't know if Bill Belichick is going to be like, yeah, Jerry, I'm going to let you have all say in everything that goes on. I don't know. Let's just say bring him in here. You excited that he's going to bring in McDaniels and the kid, or not the kid, the man that has a pencil in his ear that was a head coach for Detroit and ran him into the ground? That excites you? Belichick, who I get that Belichick is old school and has, you know, that whole thing going for him. But a Belichick outside of Tom Brady is like, he's a terrible record. Terrible a Belichick record, who, even if you give him power, when he had the power at the end without Tom and then even with Tom, he was not good. Nobody's looking at Belichick like, man, that's a good general manager. Man. So I don't even think Belichick should save you, bro. I don't think Belichick should save you. Unless Belichick is like, I changed my ways, I'll be your walk around head coach, and I'm gonna go get me a Jared Johnson or somebody, right, and Robert Saleh, and I'm gonna let them do their thing, then maybe. But Belichick's track record recently is not that enticing to me. Belichick, the culture guy, cool, then put his ass in the front office and tell Jerry to get out the way, right, if you believe he gonna change the culture. But, you know. Nah,
that ain't gonna happen, man. You know it ain't gonna happen. Reality of it is people ignore the common denominators, like you said, minus Tom Brady, what has Belichick been? And then you take that same mindset and apply it to what have people that, like, using current examples, what is Dan Quinn doing presently at Washington? What's the difference? The GM. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, what we talking about? You know, what we talking about?
Belichick the type, man, that boy ran back Bill O'Brien 2 times. I think he brought back Romeo Crennel at one point. McDaniels 11 times. Matt Patricia a couple times. Yeah, Belichick got his guys, and I get it, but yeah, man.
I'm cool on all that, man. We know what the problem is, especially when we see coaches leaving us to be successful in their first year.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I did not think they'd be this good this soon.
I knew old boy was the truth, the quarterback. I knew he was real,
I like Daniels.
But I didn't think I didn't really think they had the personnel to keep him upright like they have been, you know, to be real with you. I don't really follow them that much. I just assumed that they didn't have the horses behind them, but I tell you what, I know old boy happy to have him. He been around the league for a while. I can't think of his name right now, but he been doing a whole lot better this year because of the quarterback, the wide receiver dude. He didn't travel a couple of teams, McLaurin or something like that. He didn't have a much better go at it with the new quarterback. I know he enjoying that.
Yeah, he hasn't had much of a quarterback, but now, yeah, you're right about that.
But anyway, Sky, man, I'm going to let you get back to it, man. Cowboy fans, y'all hold it tight, man. We'll get right one of these days.
Facts, man. Salute. Appreciate you. That's Jimmy Fly. Hook 'em. Good stuff right there. Yeah, man, it's tough to be excited, man. And usually I am. Back in 2020, I don't even remember who were I know who our options were, you know. Interviewed Marvin Lewis, y'all. But I can't remember the coaching field. Last year was the time, bro. Oh my God. It was the time. It was the perfect time. You had every excuse to fire Mike McCarthy after what happened with the Green Bay game. You got another year, you know, cheap year with guys like Micah Parsons and Deron Blands and Tyler Smiths and whatnot. You've got one of the better coaching fields, free agent fields I've seen in a long time. And I was just talking to, I forget who it was the other day, the Harbaugh. I thought Harbaugh would have been a perfect selection. Now, he's never going to come here because of Jerry, right? But if you were going to have a come to Jesus moment and that I'm going to change, man, Harbaugh would have been a perfect guy to bring. Look what Zach Mentor, his defensive coordinator. Harbaugh goes to a Chargers team that has some talent, sure, but they let go a lot of it, and that defense was historically bad last year. And he's got that defense top 3 in scoring. They're more physical. Herbert is having one of his best more efficient years. Not a high power throwing year or whatever, but he's an efficient quarterback. I'd love to have Harbaugh here. Just one of many, but that was the time. This year, there will still be some guys that will be out there for sure. But at the end of the day, every time you think about, well, this guy, Jerry Jones. Yeah. Well, if we get this guy, Stephen Jones. Yeah, but this guy does this. Well, yeah, but they don't like to spend. Every time I think about a specific coach, I come all the way back to, yeah, but Jerry and Steven. And that's what sucks, man. That's what sucks. All right, man. One more and we're going to get up out of here in a second, Nacho. But let me shouts out Specs real quick before we do go, because just talking about this out loud is making me want to grab a drink. So I might head on down to Specs, your one-stop shop for unbeatable selections of beer, wine, liquor, and finer foods. Now, I'm not planning a Cowboys watch party, but we do got a Friendsgiving party coming up tomorrow. So I'm going to head down there and get us some wine to bring to Friendsgiving. Or if you're just looking for that perfect bottle, Specs has got you covered. Great prices, great expert advice, and the best brands. You can find it all at Specs. Nacho, what you got for me on the way out, brother?
Hey, my man. Happy Friday, guy. And yeah, I think your idea. Obviously, we're just throwing ideas at this point. A Cliff and a solid combination would be tremendously outstanding. It would bring a defensive coordinator that is a proven DC, toughen our defense. You know, we would be prepared on the defensive part. That would get the players that would fit the scheme right. Mm-hmm. With Cliff, I think he's got a proven record. There's Johnny Football back when he was the offensive play caller at Texas A&M with him, and they beat Alabama, and all the way through when he was with the Cardinals. Everywhere he's gone, Cliff is he is a good offensive coordinator. You know, he's got play design and everything, something that we're missing. And if there's anything to the fact that you said that, you know, Jerry kind of, you know, talked real positive about him, hey, listen, he'd be great. Raybo, I think, would be great as well. You talked about Harbaugh. Let me tell you, I love that. I love the Harbaughs. From San Diego State to Stanford to Michigan to the 49ers to now the Chargers. Everywhere he goes.
Yeah, he's good, man.
You know what I mean?
He would.
You know,
if we were going to make a move, and like I said, make radical changes, that was the perfect guy. That Jim Harbaugh is who everybody wants Bill to be, and that sounds crazy because Bill got the rings and everything, but he's the actual program builder, culture changer everywhere he's been. Stanford, Michigan, San Francisco, and now with the Chargers. Now, Bill obviously is Bill, right? Like, there's no doubt about it. One of the best football minds, defensive minds, 6 rings, whatever it is. But talking about going from team to team to team and changing the culture and improving them and ultimately winning with them, obviously he lost the Super Bowl with the Niners. But that's the guy and he's younger. That's the guy you should have really wanted.
And that's exactly alluding to your point. That's where I was going. If you wanted a guy that's going to come in, who's going to just change your culture, the mindset, the preparation. It's Jim, and Jim was a guy without a doubt, and he was available. He was out there. He was there. There were rumors about, the Raiders, the Chargers, etc., all that. Hey, if Jerry would have came calling and he would have done, hey, Jim would have probably thought about it. That would have been a game changer. That would have been.
Oh, he would have said no. Jim would have said no because Jerry would have had Jerry would have had to concede control. Like he wouldn't have came here to be again second, third, fourth fiddle behind the Joneses. No, that just would have never happened, man. So you're not going to get those types unless, to me, they're willing to concede some type of control and not. I shouldn't even say some because he'll delegate. He'll go down this chain of 7 people who ask questions to. But I'm talking about, listen, man, I'm not hearing nothing you and your son got to say. Let me do the football things because y'all ain't the football people.
Scott, I'm gonna leave you with this question.
All right.
What's your take on Michael Irvin that is going out there? I know it's kind of media-driven, manufactured, what have you, but it's Michael Irvin. I love Michael. Okay, my favorite wide receiver for the Cowboys. Now he's saying he's got some inside intel, whether it's a little bit of Deion, if somebody were to get his son Sanders, and he'll come with a package deal. And maybe that's the way he goes. And I know there's these rumors about, okay, what if he comes to Dallas and stuff. What's your take on Deion Sanders? My take on him is this. Deion's an outstanding human. He's a hell of an athlete. But I don't know that he's proven like a Jim Harbaugh or something like that at this point. He relates to the college game very well. I don't know how he would be in the NFL. Like Nick Saban came to the NFL. He only lasted a couple of years, if I remember correctly, and then he went back. So, would you welcome a Deion Sanders to Dallas? And this is just playing devil's advocate at this point. Yes or no?
I mean, I welcome any coach. I'm not gonna. If they hire somebody, I'm gonna get behind them. Deion as a player, I love Deion as a college coach. I don't know what he's going to be like in the NFL if he ever even wants to come to the NFL. But I take Deion to his word. Deion said he don't want nothing to do with these dudes in the pros. I'm sorry. No, seriously, that's what he said. He said, I don't want nothing to do with these NFL players. I'm too old school. I'll start a game with 53 and leave with 31. I don't know if you know what I'm saying? If he doesn't want nothing to do with this, then why should I want him to want something to do with it? Just because I want something different. So if Deion has a true passion to be an NFL coach, then I'm all aboard. But if he has no passion to do that, be careful. Be careful because you could run into what's my man's name that left the Falcons, or you can run into a couple of these, like in NBA. College guys come to the NFL, they don't like it, they go running back to college. And if the whole thing is, well, I only gonna come to the NFL for my son, if you really sit and think about that, you shouldn't want that. You should want a coach that's like, I only want to coach this team if my son's here. Bro, you got to deal with 70 people. You're not dealing with one person. So what if Jerry or somebody want trade, or which is probably not gonna happen? What if he ain't all that? Like I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm liking the idea as well. I mean, hey, listen, but to your point, I'm with you. I welcome any coach, and I'm going to back it, and I'm going to support it as well. But it just, I don't know. It just, no. I think we go a different route, and I don't know. I'm hoping that this time around, with Jerry and where he's at in his life and everything, I hope they do a very diligent research and do what they got to do to bring in the right coaching staff in place, because I'm at the point where I'm hearing all this about this Dak and contract, and oh my God, if you get in the top 5, are you going to draft a quarterback? I think we need more than a quarterback at this point. We invested in Dak as it is already, so you got to live with the facts that you gave him the contract, but bring in somebody. Let's see if we could elevate to another level and allow Dak in the offense.
to get better. Now, if it's not getting any much better, we are continuing to do what we do on offense. Well, then you're going to have to eat that money, and you're not going to have it. And you need to go get a franchise quarterback, and you just need to redo it. That's what you got to do with this thing.
All right, man. Appreciate you, Nacho.
All right, my man.
We'll play this real
Have a
quick.
blessed weekend. Thank you.
This was Dion.
Is the NFL a goal eventually in your life?
Coaching?
Yeah.
No, not whatsoever. I don't think I'm built for the NFL. I don't think, because I appreciate the game so much, and I respect the game so much, of what the game has consistently done for me for a multitude of years, that when I see a guy getting paid millions and millions of dollars and he has no respect for the game, does not want to excel and exceed expectations of the game, I'm going to have a true problem. So I'm the kind of coach that will go out there with 53 and come back at the halftime with about 32. Because I can't do it. Like, I'm too brutally honest, and I want to win that much, and I need everybody that respects the game. And oftentimes, money clouds that judgment. That is happening in college football. Money clouds that love and that passion for the game.
Yeah, bro. I and I know people can change their mind and stuff like that, but I just don't see it. And that definitely not now. He just got he just got the number one recruited quarterback to commit to Colorado, and his son, there's a dope rollout, handing the keys to the quarterback, and yeah, I don't think he's coming to the NFL anytime soon, at least not this year. So, and I love him personally, just removing Cowboys. I love him in college, and I don't think the Cowboys is the right first stop for him because of what he has to deal with. It's not just Jerry. Like, Jerry would probably be like, "I love you, Dion. I'll chill on certain things, like, right? Like, I won't be over your shoulder. I won't be in your meeting rooms, but I'm still do the radio, whatever." Steven. Dion ain't gonna be able to break Steven. But it's Deion Sanders. It's the name. It's fun. It's, we see what he's doing for the college ranks, what he's doing for Colorado, that city, those players. It's amazing. But I do think if you got a guy who's sitting here telling you, I want nothing to do with them people, why would you be like, yeah, bring him on? I don't know yet. If Dion has a change of heart where he has a passion to want to coach in the NFL, then maybe things change. But this dude he has no desire to want to coach NFL players because he knows what comes with it. He will not have the same power over NFL players as he does with college kids. He knows that. Different ball game. So I feel like he's going to continue to excel in college until he has that next. Hey, I want the next challenge. Because they hurt. I mean, everybody hurt. Twan, what's up, bro? He said, "What position would I want in the draft the most?" All of them. Nah, I'm just playing. Skill. We did the skill versus O-line yesterday. Give me D-line or a skill position. Are we talking early, just in general, bro? We need a lot. I mean, if we're talking first round, then we can narrow it down. But if we're talking the whole draft, bro, you need offensive line, defensive line, running back, wide receiver, safety, possibly cornerback. We'll see what happens with the whole situation with DeRon Bland. Hopefully he does not re-aggravate anything. You need so much. I mean, you can't, you know what I mean? What are you really ruling out? But first round, I talked about this yesterday. Give me the skill guy or give me one of them D-line guys like Mason Graham or something like that. If we get a top 5 pick, you shouldn't miss. Hell, I would argue top 10. You should not miss, man. Shit. First pick, yeah, give me one of the skill guys. Or one of them Abdul Carter's, Graham, like one of them type. If you got like 5 dudes, you should not miss in that top excuse me, in that top 10. I know I saw somebody in the chat say that same fear, I think it was Matt, that same fear I have for being worried that they're going to mess up the coaching hire they have for the draft. I don't have that same fear per se, because if they're picking that high, it's hard to miss. They really honestly don't miss much in the first. Now I know the last 2 drafts, you could argue not great. Definitely with Mozzie and Tyler Guyton. I'm not really out on Tyler Guyton just yet. Again, he was always 2025 to me. So I was always going to revisit 2025, use this year as a developmental year because that's what it was going to be. But man, if they miss on one of them dudes, Toxic wants an interior D lineman. You want Mason Graham. You want the Graham kid. That's what you want. I think there was a couple more supers that came in. Let me get to those real quick. Yeah, Matt. So actually, a lot of y'all, my bad. I missed all these.
Super chat.
D Brown, my God, Dwayne dropped 10 and said, we keep talking about new head coach. What if Jerry resigns Mike and had to hire an OC? Who would you want say this because of Jerry? Who would you want? I say this because of Jerry. So what if Jerry signs Mike and had to hire? So listen, Mike's never given up play calling. So I said this to somebody, I think on Twitter. If he rehires Mike McCarthy's your play caller. Mike McCarthy's your offensive coordinator. So there is no other name to give you, DB. That's your guy. Unfortunately.
Super chat.
Matt Lennox dropped 5. Appreciate you, Matt. See you this weekend. He said, Buddy wants Tyler Guyton to be Tyron Smith in 10 games. Sounded like Skip Bayless. He talking about Big Max. Yeah, man. Max he had all the smoke for Tyler Guyton, man. And if my explanation, if you guys went around here earlier, is maybe I'm not fazed because I didn't expect Tyler Guyton to be an amazing player in his rookie year. I expected to see some good things, which I have. And I expected to see some struggles, which I have. To me, it was all about using this year to gain the experience. And then we revisit this thing in 2025 because he wasn't a 2024 pick. He was a 2025 beyond type pick. So that's why to me, I'm not fazed. DC Allen 1911 dropped 5.
Super chat.
Appreciate you. He said, what is more important for next year's team? Who the head coach is or who their staff is? OC, D-line, O-line, QB coach. I think the head coach, because then the head coach gets all of that, right? Like, unless Jerry decides to do what he did the last 2 hires. Well, not the last 2 hires, but he did it twice. He hired the OC first and then the head coach. Then that changes everything. But I do think what's more important is the head coach, because then the head coach can bring in his guys. But if he's not allowed to do that, then we're just stuck in this recycling. You got to keep Kellen Moore. You Wade Phillips. You got to have Jason Garrett. That type thing, right? G-Dub dropped 5.
Super chat.
He said the Cowboys are not a draft and develop team. They are a draft team. They don't do a great job of developing players. Well, I'll tell you this, G-Dub, as I've said many times, and I continue to say, I think they do a decent job, but not for how they build their team. They have to be better. I mean, when you get constant hits in the 4th and 5th round and some 6th round guys, you do have to. That is developing. That's deserving of praise. That is deserving of praise. The problem is that's all they rely on, and if that's all you rely on, you will never, in my opinion, get over the hump. So they got to be better at it. And if your thought process, because I almost tweeted this out, like, while yes, I think they're a good drafting team, I want to say they're not. I'm so bad. You can't say it though, because they get these all pros. Because I'm tired of saying, yeah, they good, but they got to be better. I'm tired of that because to me that kind of gives them a pass a little bit because you're using the words good. I want to say they bad. Maybe somebody hear it, get pissed off and offended. I don't know. But they're not bad. And I think that's the problem. Maybe they need a couple more bad drafts to realize they can't keep doing this. Does that make sense? Like maybe they need a couple more of these. Go 2-3 more. And I don't want this to happen as a Cowboy fan. But maybe their problem is they're so damn confident in that they could land a Micah Parsons and a Trayvon Diggs and a CD Lamb and a Tyler Smith and a Jake Ferguson and a Tony Pollard. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they so confident. Oh, yeah, we cool. That they ignore. Then we go over this yesterday. 36 drafted players in the last 4 years. 6-ish or so legitimate hits. That's actually not good. Like 6-ish legitimate guys you can be like, yeah, we'll bring back on on another contract and feel confident in. Not our 1 year deal, vet minimum. Like hey, this is our guy. He part of what we doing. That is kind of bad if you think about it. But Sky, we got all pros out of that. We got 4 all pro. Man, you're right. That's good. It would look so much better if they signed dudes, if they really traded for dudes, if they really partaked in other. It looks so much better, bro, but it don't look good. When you go like 6, 7, 8, 9 for 36, that ain't good, man. They draft have moments. Like, do y'all feel me? Are we swayed by the all pros and we just say because they drafted an all pro, we give them a pass for not hitting on a second round pick? Since Trayvon Diggs, for real. And this is no knock on Marshawn Nealon. I hope he's a guy, but let's be real, yeah. He got hurt. It is what it is. We don't know yet. What do you consider good at drafting, though? I think the Cowboys. I consider them good, but I kind of want them hold them more accountable. I'm gonna think this through. You know, I'm gonna think this through around draft time. We'll revisit this because I feel like they need to be held a little bit more accountable. This draft is, and I meant to ask Vosh this, is this the most important draft? Every year you can say most, but because of how less of production you've got from your last 2 drafts, or at least needle moving production, this draft feels monumental. Like if you don't get 21 type of, like somebody has to be like a Micah, or somebody's got to be at the very least a Tyler or Deron Bland. If you don't get some of that, multiple guys, and you still are doing this free agent thing, bro, we could be looking at another bad year. AG said, that's what I'm saying, Sky. What's the threshold? Again, man, I only can speak for this team. They're good. And I hate to say it, because you can't draft 5 all pros in 4 years and be like they're not good, right? But do we move the goalposts, AG? Do we say, okay, first round all pro is easy? Like, do we change it and say, well, it ain't about if you got an all pro or pro bowler. What do your day 2 and 3s look like? Because then I don't think they've been great there. Have they had a Connor Williams and a Biotish and a Schultz? And that's true. They have. All those dudes ain't here no more, though. They clearly didn't believe in them enough to be here. And I got an argument on Twitter with somebody about, well, just because they didn't pay them, that doesn't mean that da-da-da-da. I'm like, no, bro, you don't understand what I'm saying here. If they felt that these dudes were like that, they would have been here. They clearly didn't believe that. And a guy was like, oh, well, they went and got market setting money. Connor Williams ain't get market setting money. Cheeto Woozy ain't getting market setting money. Them dudes was getting pennies. They didn't want them because they honestly, and I like Cheeto for a little bit, he wasn't like that. So I get it. Connor wasn't like that. Schultz wasn't like that. So it's not like I don't understand why you're not dropping the super bag on these dudes. But that goes to the point. When you are strictly a draft development team, you can't have 2nd and 3rd round picks not be here and be legitimate dudes. They got to be legitimate. They can't be Nashawn Wright. They can't even be Osa. They can't. They can't be Chauncey. They can't be Kelvin Joseph, who ain't here no more. They got to be dudes. It's hard to do, man. No. I get it with the misses. You do have to counter with the misses, and that's what I'm talking about. The day twos and the not having second contracts for your second round, third round, fourth round picks. Like that counts 100%. And that's why I can't say they're bad because that part's bad, and I can't say they're great because they do have all pros. So that's why I have to say they're good. You can't draft 5 all pros and but it's a bad draft. See, I can't do that, bro. But I have to find a different way to hold them accountable. And they got to find a way to hold themselves accountable. They have to look in the mirror. Yeah, the Fehokos and all them boys. Facts, man. Good talk, though. G-Dub dropped 5 on the way out. He said, being good at drafting ain't good enough for their way. You have to be exceptional, 100%. That's I might have to come up with a better tagline. They good, but they ain't good enough. They good, but they got to be better. I've been saying that for a number of years, but like they need to look at themselves in the mirror. Somebody got to snatch up Stephen Jones. Like, are you mental? Anyway, I will see y'all Sunday at Canvas Sports and Social. My man Matt said he'll be sliding through. Hopefully we get good weather. If we do get good weather, we'll be on the patio, so make sure I come through. But the party will be popping upstairs. The vibes will be downstairs for the Cowboys game. Good food, man. Good vibes. Me and Jesse will be holding it down for you guys. Jokes on you. The Jones don't have mirrors in their crib. You may be right. I'm going to go ahead and press this button, though, and get up out of here on this fantastic Friday.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Y'all be safe out there. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. If you're drinking, don't drive. Call an Uber. And if you're drinking, make sure you get your bottle of respect, baby. We out of here, man. Love y'all. Peace. Hey, AG, you said I'd be getting turned? I had to remember it was a Monday night on Monday. The DJ was going crazy. Appreciate you, AZ, Special K, Toxic, Rolo, Mark, Camo, Mel, them boys, King, Mark, Swan, G-Dub, Rockstar. Y'all the best, man. Dre, Matt, AG, the whole bomb squad. We out of here.
Bomb Squad!